to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We actually had my microphone. Intro's going a bit of a loop. Sorry about that. Good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, wherever you might be. Thank you for coming. Let's just get a few things set up here. I'm the Casual Spaceman. Welcome to my channel. Oh, what the hell? I'm getting a loop on my intro video for whatever reason, so just bear with me for a second. Thank you for coming. Would help if I muted it. I'm a Casual Spaceman. Welcome to my channel. I'm getting a feedback loop for whatever reason in my ear. I'll tell you what. Does everything sound okay to you guys? Everything okay? I trust everybody's okay. Sarcastic Spaceman. Right, if I can just have an audio check. Is everything okay? I haven't got repeats of music from the intro video going on or anything like that. Have I? Everything sound okay? Does everything sound okay to you guys? Everything okay? I trust everybody's okay. Sarcastic Spaceman. Need a suit and tie for the look. Why would you need a suit and tie there, Curve Pimp? I have absolutely no idea. This stream is about as laid back as you can get. All hear me? Okay, that's great. Well, if you're new to the channel, thank you very much for coming. If you're not, then you're equally as welcome. If you haven't subscribed already, please hit the subscribe button below in the bottom right-hand corner of the stream, or the usual button underneath the video, and hit the bell icon, and you'll be notified when I upload more videos or live streams. So who have we got in the chat? We have got quite a few that I expected, 22 reviewing so far. We've got Kerry Mack. Kerry, do me a favour, make sure these boys are being good, will you, please? Keep them in check, make sure they behave themselves. Sarcastic Barman, yeah, you need to keep an eye on him especially. No, you're welcome. Global Chris, who else got? Ugly German Truce, as always, he's always here. Curve Pimp, thank you for coming. Harry Warp, Mr. Victory, hey, thanks for coming again. Gary Graham, how you doing? Whose email? These shot glasses can't find you by themselves. I don't know what you mean. Oh, Sarcastic Barman, that's aimed at. Okay. Oh, and Nina Belton, never heard of her. Oh, Nina, thanks for watching. Nina's my girlfriend. She's watching upstairs. So, if you want to say hello to Mrs. Casual Spaceman, that's Nina Belton up the chat there. So behave yourselves. And who else have we got? And the conspiracy. Thanks for coming, brother. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Who else have we got? I haven't seen so a while. Well, if I haven't mentioned you, you're all very, very welcome anyway. So, welcome to this is Space Weekly number 2. What I thought I'd make it all about is Project Artemis. And if you don't know what Project Artemis by now, you must be living on Mars. Excuse the pun. But no, Project Artemis is the project that's going to put humans back on the surface of the moon, and then onward projects to Mars, hopefully within my lifetime. And what I thought I'd do is give you a little bit more. I mean, everybody's heard of Project Artemis, but not necessarily about how it's all going to work and how it's all being put together and how they're going to do it and what the sort of timelines are and stuff like that. So that's what we are going to do today. So what I thought I'd do is I've got some information from NASA, and I'm going to show you a few details about Project Artemis and what they're going to do to get to the moon, and then the onward preparations to go to Mars. So let me just get myself set up here. Okay, so as it said, forward to the moon. That's a strategic plan for the human exploration, updated very, very recently. Okay, so I'm going to talk about phase 1. Okay, so phase 1 is really the first phase of getting humans or boots on the moon's surface. That's pretty much it. That's all that phase 1 is. And then phase 2, I'll go into that in just a little while. But that's phase 1 is mostly what we're interested in just at the moment in time. So a little bit about the budget. There was a little bit of hoo-ha as to whether the hoo-ha. God, that's so English, isn't it? Hoo-ha. There was a little bit of controversy as to the extra 1.6 billion that NASA actually needed for this project. Otherwise, they would have had to cancel a lot of other projects that are in the offering as well. With the new space telescope coming up and various other projects, Mars 2020, those projects might well have suffered if it hadn't all gone through. So let me just get a big screen so I can actually see that a little bit better myself. That'll help. Okay, so yeah, 1 billion to accelerate commercial partnerships in the development of human lunar transportation systems to take astronauts to the surface and back to the gateway. As you know, probably have heard that both SpaceX and Blue Origin, and in fact Blue Origin have actually already built a concept lander to land on the moon. And built within that, there is a scope to be reduced by 321 million, as it says at the bottom of the screen there, which then could be then transferred into phase 2. So there's a little bit of scope for manoeuvre on that one. 650 million towards the completion of SLS and Orion to support the 2024 landing. As probably most of you know, SLS or Space Launch System, or as somebody else keeps calling it, something about shuttles or something. I can't remember who it was in the chat was saying that earlier on. Space Launch System and Orion, there's been dogged with delays for the last 7 or 8 years, and that's been ongoing. But it looks like there's going to be some progress, which I'll cover that earlier on. So that's been 651 million as a boost for that to get that going as well. So because without SLS and without Orion, there is no project. It's as simple as that. 132 million for new technologies to help astronauts live and work on the lunar surface and deep space. 90 million for science to increase robotic exploration at the lunar South Pole in advance of the astronauts. The South Pole, why the South Pole? Well, there's water in them there as hills. Well, at least, we know there's water there, but how much and whether we can get to it or not is the other thing. So that's why they're going to the South Pole. Okay, what's next? So, this is where it gets the interesting bit. Let's just get that so I can see it as well. Okay, so how's it going to work? Well, first and foremost, next year, my hair's sticking up. First and foremost, before we do anything else, NASA are planning to test launch the SLS system in 2020, next year. That's the plan. Whether that happens or not, although things seem to be progressing fairly quickly at the moment, so it's looking a little bit more hopeful. I'm a little bit more hopeful than I probably was some months ago. When there was a big issue with the budget and all the rest of it, is whether they were going to get the 1.6 billion or not. So obviously, if that test all goes well, then what we're looking at is Artemis 1, which is going to be the first human spacecraft to the moon in the 21st century. So it's going to be an unmanned mission, and it will fly to the moon, orbit the moon, and return unmanned. But it's going to be set up in such a way as if it was manned. Okay, so they're going to test the full system, the SLS, and how it all integrates, and see whether they can actually get and return the spacecraft, obviously undamaged, because damaging the spacecraft is no good, because it's not going to be good for human people inside the spacecraft, obviously. And then, if that all goes well, Artemis 2, the first humans to orbit the moon in the 21st century. So the first humans to leave low Earth orbit since 1972, sadly. So that'll be the next plan, and I believe that's going to be sometime in 2021 or 2022. Can't remember off the top of my head. I have to look that up again some other time. And in the meantime, they're going to be they need to be building the gateway. Now, for those of you that don't know what the gateway is, it simply put is, if you think about the ISS, the International Space Station, but instead of orbiting the Earth, it's going to be orbiting the Moon. And that's going to be used as the platform to then create a lander, which is going to be attached to that system, and then take the lander down from the gateway to the lunar surface, and then that's going to be used as an onward gateway for the projects onwards from now on in, for putting more things on the moon, more experimentation vehicles, and all kinds of different things are going to be going on. So that's what's going to be used to go onto the moon. And then probably in the future, they'll probably build a base possibly on the moon. I don't know exactly what the plans are for that, but that's what they'd like to do. So that's the gateway. So while that's all happening, at some point, apparently the first part, which is where we see the high power solar electric propulsion, or SEP system, is going to be launched in 2022. I've read. And that contract has already been awarded to Maxar Technologies, which is something I'm going to be talking about a little bit later on. So, and then obviously, then we're going to be looking at so obviously the first human is going to be orbiting the moon, and then Artemis 3 is the crewed mission to the gateway, and then on to the lunar surface. So the plan is that they will fly to the moon in the Orion spacecraft to the gateway. It will dock with the gateway. They will then either rest or eat and do whatever they need to do and prepare for the lander, then to undock from the gateway and then land on the lunar surface, plant the flag, say hello, say everything, and then bugger off again. No, they're not going to do that. No, there'll be several experiments. They're also planning on landing a few other modules and things like that. That's going to have experimentation and different bits and pieces down there as well, to do a lot of science and what have you as well. Not 100% sure how long that particular mission is going to last. But it's going to take about 3 days to get there. 3 days to get back, maybe a couple of days perhaps on the lunar surface, and then onwards from there. So that's pretty much how that part of it is going to work. Okay, so not 100% sure how long that particular mission is going to last. Okay, a little bit more detail about how this is all coming together. Let me just try and get, I can't. That's better. Okay, so a little bit more detail. As you said, Artemis 1, first flight test of SLS and Orion as an integrated system, as I mentioned. Artemis 2, first flight of crew to the moon aboard the SLS Orion. So as I said, they'll orbit the moon and return hopefully safely. And Artemis 3, the first crew to the lunar surface, logistics delivered for 2024 service mission as well. So, and then below that, as you can see, more about the gateway. Let me just check everything's okay on the stream. We're looking okay. Let me just see who else is in the chat while I'm at it. Kerry, you keeping an eye on things? Make sure they're behaving themselves, I hope. Kerry, I hope you're there. I'm relying on you. Oh, Stockton, Florida's here. How you doing, buddy? Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. Right, let me just go look back and see. Okay, yeah, the gateway. The power propulsion element will arrive first. As I said, that contract for that has already been awarded, and that is being built as we speak. And that's due to be launched in 2022, again with the SLS system, but obviously depending on whether the SLS system is actually working by then, hopefully it will be. Then the pressurized module, I believe, is being awarded to Northrop Grumman, I think. They're going to be building that, and that's only just been, but they have already started development, although I think the contract for that hasn't actually been officially announced, but apparently it's all in the books. So, The human landing system. So basically, it's going to consist of, as I said before, transfers lander and gateway to lunar orbit, and then the descent stage, descent from the transfer vehicle to the lunar surface, and then obviously the lander would then, or the ascent stage would then leave the lunar surface, dock with the gateway. And then obviously they will then transfer to the Orion spacecraft and then return to Earth, hopefully safely. So it's got some similarities to Apollo, but the only difference being that there will also already be an orbital element already there. And it doesn't need to be manned. So I suspect we will actually be seeing 3 people land on the moon as opposed to Apollo. But I'm not entirely sure about that yet. But that's what I suspect anyway. So yeah, that's where we are with that. Okay, what have we got next? Okay, yeah, this is a little bit more about the gateway. Let's actually, so you can actually see it would help. Okay, so as it says here, the gateway is essential for the 2024 moon landing. Clearly, without it, it's not going to happen. The same with the SLS system. So you're beginning to see all these different elements are going to have to work. So I'm not going to stick my neck out and say that they're going to be landing on the moon by 2024. I still have my doubts. I feel a little bit better about it now that SLS seems to be making some progress. It's been 7 or 8 years in the offing and delays and all the rest of it as well. And it looks like they might well be doing a test launch next year. But we'll see. See what's happening. So, initial gateway focuses on the minimum system requirements to support a 2024 lunar landing, whilst also supporting phase 2, which we'll go into in just a moment. Provides command center and aggregation point for 2024 human landing, and establishes a strategic presence around the moon. Creates resilience and robustness in the lunar architecture, and open architecture and interoperability. Interoperability. Never heard of that word. Perhaps somebody can let me know what that means, because I've got a clue. Interoperability talents provide building blocks for partnerships and future expansions. So yeah, so the gateway could be expanded upon. That's essentially what they're saying there. So as you can see on the right hand side there, you've got the Orion, and the service module will then dock with the gateway, as we can see here. And then at the top you've got the lunar landing system. I'm not quite sure what that bit that's underneath the landing legs there, unless I don't quite know what that is. I've been sort of sitting there figuring that out. Obviously that would need to detach somehow. Don't quite know what that is. I shall endeavour to find out. But I was looking around before and I couldn't find any information on it, so I'm not quite sure what that is. So that'll be the element would then land on the lunar surface and then obviously return to the gateway and then back to Earth safely without any luck, hopefully. With luck. Okay. So, phase 2. Okay, so this is where we get to the really nitty-gritty, when they'll start preparing and building for missions to Mars. As we know, it was always going to be a stepping stone to go to Mars, at least. That's what the plans are for NASA. Now, I've got my doubts that NASA can do it I think they're saying they're going to get it done by sometime in the 2030s. But with every presidential election, and obviously Trump is not going to be around forever, and as long as the political will's there, they will do it. But it's all dependent on the political will, and of course it's the politicians that decide the budget. So whether that will happen, I honestly don't know. However, I do believe a commercial company will get to Mars in my lifetime. So we will see boots on Mars, hopefully before I pop my clogs, with any luck. I'm sure some people would like to see my clogs popped a little bit earlier, but not if I can help it. Anyway, let's just have a little check in the chat. Checking the chat. So who's here? Forever Learning still here. Good. Global Chris. You're chatting amongst yourselves. I have mastered the art of texting really slow. That makes me invisible. Okay then. Are you guys actually listening to me, or are you just having a chat amongst yourselves? Let's just have a little chat. Hey? Kerry Mack, where is she? We need Kerry. I need you, Kerry. Why are you not here to keep these guys in check? They need to behave themselves. Oh, Phil Blacker, big up Casual Spaceman. Thank you, Phil. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Oh, Kerry Mack, you're here. Great stuff. Kerry, keep an eye on these guys. Of course we are, Global Chris. Of course we are. Always good boys, yeah. Okay. So, what about phase 2 then? This gets exciting. Phase 2 really is the preparation for Mars, really. So it's really onward expansion for the operations that they're going to do on the moon. A whole load of science that needs to be done. A whole load of different things that they need to experiment with and develop and build upon before we can think about going to Mars. There's honestly, I couldn't. I think I might do a show or a video about this sometime, as to all the different problems that need to be overcome to get to Mars, because they seem unsurmountable. So yeah, so Artemis 4, 5, 6, and 7 really is going to be sending all kinds of kit to the lunar surface. There's talk of lunar rovers, all kinds of different things. There's talk of modules being sent down the lake for permanent bases. What's the period of time that's going to take, I don't honestly know. But as you can see, multiple science and cargo payloads, international partnership opportunities, technology and operations demonstrations from Mars. So yeah, so they're going to learn. They need to learn an awful lot as to what they can actually do on the Mars surface to then develop that for the lunar surface. They can develop that to go to Mars when they're like. So really, that's the phase 2 element, and then obviously phase 3 would then be the missions to Mars. Okay. Yeah, missions to Mars is going to be a 3-year round trip. It's exactly 3-year round trip. So it's a hell of a journey. So an awful lot, a hell of a lot to overcome for that, really. A hell of a lot of different things. So I've been saying that the whole project is all based whether the SLS or Space Launch System can actually work. Okay, so that's absolutely key. So it looks like SLS is moving forward. So I've got a short video for you, which I'm going to play for you now. And NASA have moved from the development and design stage and now moving on to the assembly and testing stage, which is really good. And they've even actually moved a lot of hardware as well, or let's say a lot, some hardware to the vehicle assembly building near the launch pad. So we're getting quite close to the test. So hopefully it'll happen. So I've got a little NASA video here for you now to show. So let's just play this video and then we'll see what's what. Okay, so there we are. That's the SLS system as it is, and all its different components. You might have noticed there's one bit there called the intertank. I didn't know what that was at first when that cropped up with me a couple of weeks ago when I was looking at things. Basically, what all that is a structural component that links the both the liquid oxygen and the hydrogen tanks together, so it becomes more of a sort of one solid sort of structure. Not only that, it's the part that's the solid rocket boosters that you saw there are going to be attached to as well, and its job is to distribute the forces from the thrust of those boosters equally among the structure of the main core of the rocket. So that's basically what that is there. Yeah, all those parts as individual parts have actually been tested to death. But now what they're doing is they're moving all those parts in together and they're integrating them a little bit more and doing more tests on them. That's pretty much where they're going at the moment. So wouldn't be too long before they start actually assembling the first test vehicle, which will just go into low Earth orbit. Whether it's going to include the actual Orion spacecraft as unmanned, I'm not really sure, but I suspect it probably will do, because they would want to test the whole assembly together before they actually do an unmanned test to the lunar orbit. So I imagine that'll happen as well. Okay, so that's that one. I've also got another one, and this video gives you an idea as to what would happen during the launch of SLS. Give you a little rundown as well, and yeah, I thought it was quite an interesting video to show, so I'll just play that for you now. Right, what I'm going to do is at the end, guys, I've just got this little video to show, plus a little bit of news as to what's happening with the gateway, and then after that I've got a little bit of a Q&A session. So if you want some if you've got any questions or anything you want me to say or anything you want me to talk about or whatever, then leave those at the end. Once I've finished, I'll come and join you in the chat and we'll have a little natter if you want. We can talk about the video or we can talk about anything you like. I don't really care. I'm pretty laid back. I don't mind what we talk about. So anyway, so let's play this. Just make sure I get the right one here. Got any questions or anything you want me to say or talk about or whatever? So I'm still getting used to this live stream. I'm starting to get things worked out, but I'm still learning. So anyway, sorry. Let's play this SLS. How it's actually going to launch. What's going to happen.
Booster ignition and liftoff.
So there you go. That's a little bit of an idea of what would happen during a launch. There it is. So I was mentioned earlier on about the gateway. Again, the gateway, simply put, is the ISS but around the moon. But it's going to have a lander attached to it. So the Orion spacecraft will fly to the gateway, dock with the gateway. They'll transfer into the module there, sleep, eat, do whatever they need to do. Sleep, eat, shit, shower, whatever, shave. Prepare for the landing on the moon, get the lander ready, undock the lander, land on the moon, do whatever they need to do in the moon, take off from the lunar surface, dock with the gateway, transfer to the Orion spacecraft, and then back, hopefully safely, to Earth. So, a little bit of news about what's been happening with the gateway and how it's going to be built, because we're not quite there yet. Let's have a look. I can't. Oh, great. Let me just get this. So just trying to figure out. Let's get this organised. The news that I wanted to show you is not quite working out the way I wanted it. Okay, well, you can pretty much see the headline there. Gateway development remains on track. So I'll just open up a copy myself and I'll give you a little rundown of what's going on with the gateway. So we've seen what's happening with Orion and SLS and how they're going to do it as well. So what's happening with the gateway. So I'll just read a bit of news to you about that. Right, with one module under contract and a second soon to be formally awarded, NASA says development of the Lunar Gateway, a key element of its Artemis effort to return humans to the moon, is moving ahead as planned. Glad to hear it. Excuse me. NASA officials said they were making good progress on the first two elements of Gateway, which will serve as a staging point for missions to the lunar surface. I can tell you both the PPE, which PPE is the power and propulsion element, and Halo, which is the habitation element, have production movement, so they're moving forward with that. This is real. We've got contracts in place, and real hardware is being actually built. So yeah, both the contracts for those are in place. I was mistaken earlier on. The first of those elements is the power and propulsion element, which we've just mentioned, PPE, for which NASA has selected Maxar Technologies, as I mentioned. The module based of the company's 1300 series commercial satellite bus will provide power for the gateway and electrical propulsion. So that'll be the first one that will go to the lunar orbit, and that is due to be launched in late 2022. After which you're just going to perform a 1-year checkout. So they're going to make sure that's all working for a year or so before they send the next element. Besides providing power and propulsion, the PPE will also serve as a platform for other payloads. 2 payloads will be installed on the exterior of the module when launched, he said. Hartman said the agency was considering several unidentified payloads to include on the PPE. Skip all that, a whole load of fluff. And then the other module, the Habitation and Logistics Outpost, what a mouthful, Halo, previously known as a Utilization Module or Mini-Hab. I prefer Mini-Hab personally. NASA announced in July procuring a filing that it was extended to award a sole contract to Northrop Grumman. So they are contracts to build that, after determining it was only a company that would be able to complete it in time to be used to support 2024 human landing. From what I understand, Northrop Grumman were kind of already doing it anyway before the contract was even awarded. I think they pretty much knew they were going to get it because, as I said in that, they were the only ones that could do it and have it done in time. So they were way ahead of themselves. Hartman said the company was already working with Halo, like what I just said. Northrop Grumman is off building that, developing the module for us, he said, which is good news, obviously, for us, because obviously until Halo is in place, until Gateway is in place, landing on the moon ain't going to happen. Okay, that's the same with the SLS and all the rest of it as well. So if you look back at all the different elements that have had to work, so you've got the Orion spacecraft, you've got the SLS system, you've got all the 3 or 4 different elements of the gateway system. They all need to check out, and that's before we've even been tested the SLS. And if the SLS system next year, if that test doesn't go well, it could put it back months or even years. And if it's catastrophic, if we see a massive explosion, well, then that could really be, we're talking years, that could go back years. So all these different things have got to work out, and there's a lot of different things that could go wrong, a million different things that go wrong. So until that's up and running and we've got that in place, then we won't be landing on the moon. And that's for the moon. And if you think about Mars, and we looked at the budgets, first and foremost, if you think that was a lot of money, getting to Mars is going to cost a whole lot more. And as I said before, whether their political will was there to do that is something for debate. I'm still skeptical, to be honest with you, whether NASA will ever get to Mars, whether that'll ever happen. But as I said, I'm pretty sure that SpaceX will manage it, or another commercial company. But SpaceX, I think, are a bit ahead of the game with anybody at the moment. They're the only commercial company that are really making strides to go towards that, and Starship is going to be key in that kind of thing. But who knows? Things can go horribly wrong for SpaceX as well, for anybody. That's the nature of space exploration. But it's been a dream of mine, as I said before, to see humans on the Mars surface. So that's something that I've dreamt of for a very long time, ever since I was a little boy. So that little boy inside me is still really excited, and this is why I get excited about this kind of stuff. I'm sure some of you don't really get as excited as I do, but that's just me. So there we are. So, my camera's a bit off. Okay, so I thought I'd come and join you in a chat now. Well, I'll give an atto if there's anything you want to ask. If you've got any questions about this, about SLS, Orion, the gateway, or anything like I've said in the video. I hope you found it informative, at least. I hope you found it interesting. And I hope I haven't been too geeky or too boring for you. So let's have a look in the chat and see what is going on. And as I said, if you've got any questions, then please fire away. Oh wow, chat's going quite quick. Might have to slow the chat down. Slow it down, guys. Slow down. Okay, right. Ugly Jonas, good Donald. I think he calls himself Sarcastic Kennedy. Who's that? Is that me? Or are you talking about Dead Kennedy in space or something? Not quite sure what you mean by that. Right. Okay. Anyway, let's have any questions you've got. Forever Learning has said something casual. Interoperability is about compatibility between the different systems, so everybody can use everybody else's interfaces. And there's still a very long delayed echo softly in the background. All right, yeah, I think that's probably my headphones. I don't really know what it's picking up because hang on a minute. There you go. That should be a little bit better now. I didn't realise I had the what do you call it? The live control room wasn't muted, so that's why I was picking up that. So yeah, so as Forever Learning's just said, he's just explained what interoperability means. So thank you very much, Forever Learning. Thank you very much for looking that up. Appreciate it. Or you probably already knew, I'm sure. Ugly German Truce always contributed to the chat and did these things. Casual Spaceman, did you see my question about how many parts in the capsule and rocket are displayed shiny? No, I didn't see that, Ugly German Truce. Perhaps you could repost that. It will save me scrolling all the way back up because there's been quite a lot of chat since then. Mr. Victor, the rocket is smaller than the Saturn V. Yes, it is. It's only a little bit smaller than the Saturn V. Off the top of my head, I can't remember exactly what the heights are, but there's not a great deal in it. Certainly probably actually more powerful, I think, than the Saturn V. Kristen Frost, very interesting spaceman. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you. Harry Warp. Let's have a look. NASA should do with the TVA did to beat several private companies in electrifying the Tennessee Valley, bog them down on the car. I don't know what that is. Okay, let's have a look. Right, so has anybody got any questions, any comments, or anything stupid they want to say? Anybody got any jokes? Even as well, I don't mind. You've been keeping an eye on things, Kerry. Have they been good? I hope so. Kerry Mack is the chief moderator for most people, I think. Cheers. Ugly German Truth. So let me repeat. Thanks for repeating it, Ugly German Truth. Appreciate it. The video shows a lot of things like the Orion top looking like stainless steel, which seems unusual. The gateway rendering also had naked modules. Would that really be done like that? Well, Ugly German Truth, the Orion spacecraft during launch will actually be covered over. As simple as that, and then obviously that will fall away and that will be exposed. But yeah, I think it will be a stainless steel look at least anyway. I'm not quite 100% sure about the materials that they're using, but it certainly seems that way. Stainless steel, which seems to endure the gateway rendering. Yeah, it did look a bit like naked modules. I think it probably pretty much will be Ugly German Truth, I think, yeah. Interoperability is a term we use frequently in the RT world. All right, okay. Yeah, that would make sense. Forever learning. There you go. That's why you knew. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Or is it only where the video presentation, the capsule will be coated like Apollo source? Again, I'm not 100% certain about that, but I'm pretty sure with the Orion spacecraft, Ugly in Truth, that's what it will look like. But as I said, it will be covered over with my mind's gone blank. Nose cone system, and then that'll fall away. I don't know where my mind's gone. Can't think of words. Kerry Matt blushing. What are you blushing about, Kerry? What's the matter? It's not like you to get embarrassed. No Name says the best thing that NASA could do, in my opinion, is to contract out all the launches and focus on missions. Yeah, No Name, it's not a bad idea. Absolutely. I mean, there's a little bit of controversy because Elon Musk is saying that SpaceX can and will go to the moon by 2021. So you can only think that that's going to really piss off NASA, to be honest with you. And Brian Stein, I'm sure, won't be very happy about that if SpaceX do make it to the moon before that. But they've got quite a good relationship at the moment because they're currently building Dragon 2, which is the manned vehicle that's going to take NASA astronauts to the ISS. And also they're being contracted to put forward a design for a lander. But of course, then they've got their Starship system. So there's a little bit of confliction. So what's going to happen about that, I don't really know. So if SLS goes completely tits up, then that could very well be a possibility. We could very well be seeing that that the launch systems are going to be by private contractors, and NASA will be, like you said, concentrating on the actual missions themselves. So yeah, I think it's probably not a bad idea, No Name, to be honest with you. So I think you made a good point. Let's have a look. You're talking about drink. Work, Chris, damn it, I see them. Kerry Mac, thank you. Don't know what you guys are talking about. I haven't watched the chat, so I have no idea. Kerry Mac seems to be getting quite embarrassed. The social media distract. Christ, Punchy, have you not been paying attention to my video? Have you been reading tweets? Have you? Oh, shocking behaviour. Shocking behaviour. So anyway, I'll probably bring this to start bringing this to a little bit of a close. I'm planning. I'm not sure whether this can happen or not. I'm hoping that both Jut Monkey and the conspiracy will be agreeable. They are very close to producing one video in particular, which is close to my heart, all about the Columbia disaster. And that's going to be coming out on their new channel called The Truth Is Not a Hoax. If you haven't subscribed to that channel, go and subscribe now. The channel's going to be all about people that are bringing up hoaxes that involve people basically dying. And they're going to be exposing those people and exposing those people and really just telling the truth and showing them up for what they are, for liars. And you know, when people make up hoaxes about those sort of things, it's absolutely shameful. So yeah, that's what their channel's going to be out. So I'm hoping if they do bring the videos out, and if they're agreeable, and if the conspiracy's listening, and Jut Monkey, if you're listening, I would very much love to have you on the show perhaps sometime next week, either Tuesday or Wednesday. And we can talk about your videos, talk about the channel, and perhaps review the videos and see what it's about. So I just wonder if that's Truth Is Not a Hoax, yeah. So hopefully, if they're agreeable and they're prepared to do that, maybe, or at least at some point, we can have them on as well, and we can have a chat about all those kind of things as well. Oh, BM Furball has joined us. Hi, BM, how you doing? You've missed most of it. You've come late, buddy. You've come late. It's all good. No, you're welcome anyway. Thank you very much. So yeah, that's what I'm hoping to do for next week. Failing that, what I will do is I can part. No, it's all right. I've actually, Kiri Mac, thank you very much for offering to pass on a message. I've actually already messaged Jut asking him when these videos are coming out. So all being well, I'll speak to him about it, and then we'll take it from there. Failing that, if that's not going to happen, I will do an update about SpaceX, where we are with their Starship development. Things are moving quite forward with that pretty quick. That's getting quite exciting, and I cannot wait for the first test of the SpaceX Starship, because it's a massive vehicle. Really is huge. Massive launch system. So yeah, will definitely be streaming that. There's also going to be so what the plan is, Elon Musk is said that by September the 28th, I believe, which marks their first anniversary of their Falcon 1 going into orbit, when they first successfully reached orbit. They've got a bit of an announcement, and we understand that there's going to be a change in design in the Starship system that they're developing. And apparently the two test Starship vehicles that they're building at the moment will be fully completed by then. And then shortly after that, in October, they're going to be doing a 20-kilometer launch. So essentially what it will do is it will take off, go to an altitude of about 20 kilometers, and then land back down again on a launch pad, or a landing pad somewhere. I'm not quite sure that's going to happen. I'm sure it's going to happen in Florida. But at the moment it's being built in Cocoa Beach in Texas. So that's the plan for next week. I'm not 100% sure which day the live stream is going to be on. Either Tuesday or Wednesday. Things are sort of like happening in my life, and one of my passions is I volunteer for St John's Ambulance, so things keep changing with that as well, and it's starting to get a busy time of the year for us because we cover a lot of sport and events, and also family commitments and all the rest of it as well. So I was hoping just to keep it to a Tuesday, but I'm going to have to keep it a little bit fluid, so apologies for that. It's very difficult for me to do regular schedules for live streams and videos and things like that. So either Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, we'll say that for next week. So we'll probably do that, and I might produce 1 or 2 videos in between the streams. It says, Harry, what, you're a hospitaler? No, I'm not a hospitaler. Don't know what that is. No, St John Ambulance is, we cover first aid cover or medical cover for lots of different sporting events, big ones and small ones, and coming up to the season when we've got a lot of sporting events coming now. We've got football, we've got rugby, and we've also got the GAA, which is Irish rules football as well. Lots of those going on as well. Some during the week, some at the weekends. So yeah, that's what I do. That's one of my other passions that I do as well. So let's have a look. In February, we realised that the new guitar strings stretch and rotate. Okay, not quite sure what that's talking about. Few people would come a bit late. C4, thank you for coming anyway. Oh, I never said hello to Tatty Bogle. Sorry, Bogle. Tatty Bogle. Sorry, Tatty. How are you? Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Oh, Amy. I never saw you as well, Amy. Thanks for coming. Thank you very much, Amy. I really need to make you blue, don't I? I really do. Let's get you on as a moderator as well. I think that's you added. Ugly German truce. Having government-owned builders, the troubles of capitalism, a capitalistic system. Yeah, I guess so. Okay, so I'm just reading some of the comments going on there. Okay, well, unless anybody has anything else to say, I will draw this to close. Thank you very, very much for joining me. Much appreciated. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you found it informative. If you haven't done so already, then please hit the subscribe button. I don't know which way around it is. I'm not looking at OBS at the moment. Hit the subscribe button, then hit the bell icon, and you'll be notified when I upload more videos or go live. So again, thank you to everybody in the chat. Thank you for the moderators for moderating the chat as well. Much appreciated. And I was a Casual Spaceman, signing out.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.